I'm not good for you. I did stay up until 2 reading last night. It's just such a weird story. Jasper was suffering. And we love Charlie. Finished Midnight Sun. He thirsty. Hi friends, how's it going? How's your 2021 going so far? Genuinely want to know, so let me know. It's time, guys. It's time. I don't know when this book came out. Last year sometime. Not exactly sure when, but I was like, there's no way I'm ever gonna read that. Then I rewatched all the Twilight movies and I was like, okay, I'm kind of curious. Might have to read it, we'll see. And then I put a hold on it at my library and there were 60 people ahead of me. And guys, it's finally time. I finally have it. Little history of me and Twilight. I read all of the books when I was, I think 13. I was in 8th grade. Majorly obsessed. I will admit, I was majorly obsessed with Twilight. And if you're wondering, 100% Team Edward, okay? And I don't want to hear anything about it. And I watched all the movies after reading the books, so, you know, that just made it so much worse because I had a huge celebrity crush on Robert Pattinson for many years after that. And might still exist a little bit. Except being an adult is realizing that they're both Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart and Taylor Lautner, I guess, are all really hot. Yeah, 2020 was an interesting year, and of course I watched all of the Twilight movies again in 2 days, which was really bad for my mental health, but let's just skip over that. So now I finally have this in my possession and I'm gonna read it over the next 3 days. And I hope that you will join me as I do so. Let's get started. I'm really curious how Stephenie Meyer is going to tell the story through Edward's perspective. To be honest, Edward is kind of a terrible character, so should be interesting. Let's get into it. Y'all, I just rambled for like half an hour, like 20 minutes about self-care and stuff. What? That's not even what it was about. It was about, oh my goodness, 2020 and starting the new year and all that jazz. And that video is up now, so go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. But I read like 3 pages of this so far. 3 whole pages, baby. And it is weird. Because Edward's talking about how he and Alice are like the two that, oh, first of all, I love Alice so much. She's probably the best character in the whole series. But they secretly communicate and all that stuff, and it was just, he like went through and described what all of his siblings were thinking. It was weird. It was like Jasper was suffering because he's like, you know, thirsty and all that. He thirsty. Right off the bat, he's not as angsty and broody as I expected, but we've got how many more pages? Like 650 more pages at least for him to be the broody bitch we all know who he is. Good morning, friends. How's it going? Yep, it's the next day. Didn't get much reading done yesterday / last night. I'm on page 44. I'm only on chapter 2. I don't know how many chapters are in here. Okay, I had a weird problem with my memory card. It was full, even though it definitely should not have been full. And we're working with a formatted card now, so awesome. Anyway, as I said, I'm not very far into the book, but the one thing that strikes me so far, I have to say it's not as bad as I expected. Maybe 13-year-old me had more taste than I thought, but also maybe not. The thing that so far bothers me the most is that she spends like pages and pages describing how enticing Bella's scent is and all of the ways that Edward could kill her, and it's a lot. And I'm like, okay, can we move on? I get it. I got all this stuff in the movies and the books before. Oh yeah, all of my comparisons are probably going to be to the movies because I watched those, like I said, a couple of months ago, and I haven't read the books. in 6 years. So my frame of reference is mostly the movies, but that scene where she walks into biology and then Edward reacts is so funny. So reading that was also enjoyable because I was picturing Robert Pattinson looking so disgusted. Oh my gosh, hilarious. Update. My reading time has gotten cut short today because I ended up taking a 2-hour nap, which I was not expecting to do, but I'm on page 62. One thing that is hilarious to me about this book is that Edward, he's like 100, right? But he like does not understand human emotions apparently. So he keeps feeling like, why is he mad at Mike for having a crush on Bella? Why is he upset at the thought of her, I don't know, getting married to someone else? I wonder. Such an idiot. Okay, so I have many more thoughts about the book as I keep getting farther. I'm at least 150 pages in now. I don't know exactly how far. Yoga with Adrian has started her 30 days of yoga, which she does every year in January, and I'm pretty pumped about it. So I'm gonna go do this, and then I'm gonna get ready for bed and keep reading. And I've been staying up pretty late lately, so hopefully I'll be able to stay up and read and get lots more reading done, because again, I've got lots of thoughts, which I will share with you after I do yoga. Okay, I'm back. Thoughts. I'm enjoying this book way more than I expected. I thought it was just gonna be Edward like, Bella, I'm not good for you. You should not be spending time with me. Which is pretty accurate, actually. That is what is happening. But I'm kind of living for the exchanges between Edward and his siblings. They are really funny, and I didn't realize that that was missing from the original series and the movies, because everything's from Bella's perspective, so you don't get to see Edward interacting with his family alone, and I am really enjoying that part of it. I will say it's very repetitive. It's mostly just Edward being like, I don't want to hurt her, but I'm in love with her, but all this stuff, and it's like, bro, get a grip. It's a little annoying. And you know, it's not like the best written book, but I'm a sucker for stuff like this. I am on page 168 now. So I've read a little over 100 pages so far today, and I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. More than I hoped to, actually. I wanted to hate this book and be like, oh, my 13-year-old self was so ridiculous and had no taste. But I guess I still have no taste because I'm eating this up. I've never done a vlog dedicated to one book before. I don't even think I've ever watched a vlog dedicated to one book. So I guess A, be patient with me, and B, let me know if this is working or not, basically. Good morning, guys. Happy Sunday. Sunday means it's my upload day, so I do have a video to edit, basically, but it's just a sit-down chatty video. It should only take me max 2 or 3 hours to edit, so I'm not that worried about it. I did stay up until 2 reading last night. I did not realize it was that late. Oh my gosh. I'm on Page 265 now, chapter 13. Oh my gosh, I read a lot. It really reminds me of being a kid, and it's like when I read Harry Potter for the first time when I was like 8. I remember one night I stayed up really late to read, and by really late it was probably like 10:30, but that's like the equivalent of 2 now, I feel like. But I stayed up late to finish one of the books, reading stuff like this that I enjoyed when I was younger. It really gets me excited about reading again. I mean, I love reading, obviously, but it's just like a whole nother level of excitement, and it's just such a great feeling. They're finally starting to get together. She has figured out that he's a vampire now. It's so funny reading Edward's perspective because he's just spends the whole time being like, why isn't she afraid of me? It's really funny. Jacob Black has been mentioned a couple of times, but he hasn't shown up. I don't know if he and Edward interact at all. My biggest complaint about this book so far is that there's like no Charlie in it. And we love Charlie. Charlie Swan is like the best character. Let's be real. I know I said that Alice was earlier, and that is my real answer. But like, come on, Charlie, are you kidding? Ugh. I am on Twilight TikTok. Don't know how that happened, but it did. And the like Charlie Carlisle POVs are so funny. They're so funny. So I would recommend looking those up if you haven't seen any. But anyway, I'm hoping to get like a nice chunk of this book done today because I have to return it tomorrow. Okay, update. It's now 9 p.m. I spent most of my afternoon reading, and I'm on page 506. So I am nearing the end, which is crazy. I've seen some criticisms of this series, and I think this book specifically about insta-love and all that stuff. I get it. I really do understand that critique, but it's also, I also think about how that's just sort of how the world works in the series. The whole imprinting thing with werewolves, which is different, but like how vampires find a mate and then they stay together forever. So that part doesn't really bother me, is what I'm saying, because I feel like it fits into the world that Stephanie Meyer created. But yeah, it is super dramatic, obviously. I think a lot of my enjoyment from this book comes from its humor. I don't know if it's supposed to be humorous or not, but I was shocked also at how Edward is still super broody and all that stuff in this book, but he also laughs like a lot. I feel like I did not really get that in the movie, I guess. So I'm in a book club at school, and we're talking about reading Twilight, the first Twilight book, as our January book. So I might be able to like compare the two pretty soon. So hopefully that ends up being our book, even though I've already read it. I thought it would be really interesting to compare in pacing and I guess dialogue and stuff, see if I catch any similar dialogue, because I do remember some of the lines in this book, at least, directly in the film as well. Unfortunately, they did not put in the hold on, spider monkey. So funny. I am having a lot of fun with this one, both because it's good and because it's bad. So where does that leave me? I don't really know. As of now, I'm kind of confused as to how all of the action that happens is going to be wrapped up. But I find that with things like Harry Potter, the action happens right at the end, so I guess the whole thing in Phoenix and prom and stuff will happen right at the end of the book, but it felt really slow to me, the first 500 or so pages. That's all for now. Well guys, I did it. I finished Midnight Sun. Wow, what a ride it's been. I guess it's time for my final thoughts. So I went into this book expecting it to be really bad. I really didn't see any benefit to getting the same story from Edward's perspective. Looking back on that, I do think there was some value in it. I did enjoy seeing the interactions between him and his family. Thought that was super interesting. I will say probably a lot of my enjoyment of this book came from the fact that I'm a huge sucker for romance, definitely a hopeless romantic. So this is like the top level of cheesy romance, so I just like eat this stuff up. I will be honest, which is why my opinion is probably more positive than it would be if I was being a little bit more objective. The writing was like, you know, it's a young adult romance, what do you expect? I'm also not the biggest fan of like big moments of action and stuff, so I thought it might be interesting to see when Bella's being tracked by James the angry vampire, that it might be interesting to see Edward trying to sidetrack him and try to trick him and fight and all that stuff, but it really was not that interesting to me. It just kept going on for pages and pages, and all they were doing was chasing him around Canada, and I was like, this is not interesting to me at all. And Edward is super repetitive, always in this constant struggle of wanting to be with Bella and realizing that she would be safer if he was away and all that stuff. And it was really frustrating towards the end because I could see his mindset shifting to him leaving in New Moon, which that is by far my least favorite because I'm, you know, Team Edward. So if you're Team Jacob and you're thinking of reading Midnight Sun, I would probably say don't because Jacob is in it for like 2 seconds. I mean, he doesn't really become a big part of Edward's life until much later, so he was barely in it, which was fine with me. Jacob's fine, I don't know, but I have more fun with the Edward aspect of it. So yeah, overall I'm gonna give this book 3 stars. I don't know what it is about this series. I think it probably has to do with the fact that I read it for the first time when I was 13, which is quite the hormonal age. I guess part of that has always like stuck with me, so it really launched me back into that whole Twilight phase thing. We all know it won't be nearly as bad as it was before, but still, it really makes me want to go watch the movies again. Although, I will be skipping New Moon this time. I guess I do really like her friendship with Jacob. I will admit that. I just think it's a really cute story, even though it's super dramatic and cheesy and weird. You know, it's just such a weird story, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, giving it 3 stars. I cannot believe that I kicked off my 2021 reading with Twilight. That's insane. I don't know if this video was at all helpful. If you have read the book, please let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts. Would I recommend it? Sort of. I think I would recommend it more if you're already a fan of Twilight. I think it would have been really fascinating though to have read this first and then read the Twilight series. I don't know. But I am looking forward to reading Twilight again for book club and comparing it. If anyone wants to chat about Twilight, please let me know. I hope this video was helpful to you in some way, or at least entertaining. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe because I would love to see your beautiful face here again next week. And I will see you next Sunday. Bye!